Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Right now, we are witnessing a massive collision between rapid AI developments and huge shifts in government policy. And it is fundamentally reshaping our financial system from the ground up. They are literally rewriting the rules of how money moves, who actually controls it, and how these massive financial companies even operate. Let's break down exactly what's happening.
So let me ask you something. What do 3,000 lost jobs, a $5.2 billion startup, and a brand new White House executive order actually have in common? On the surface, I know they sound like three totally isolated news drops from completely different corners of the economy. But as we'll see today, they are intimately connected. Together, they form this one cohesive narrative about a brand new financial era that we are stepping into right now.
Section 1. The macro shift, the deregulation wave. Okay, to really get what's going on, we first need to look at the big picture driving all this. The White House just dropped a major executive order regarding financial technology, and wow, it is completely splitting the industry in half. For the fintech guys, the pros are absolutely massive. We're talking easier bank charters, smoother partnerships with existing banks, and direct access to federal payment rails. It sounds like a slam dunk for innovation, right? Well, on the flip side, consumer advocates are sounding the alarm. They are arguing that this basically creates a giant runway for predatory lenders to go national, which could expose everyday consumers to devastating 100 to 300% APRs. It's that classic friction, the push to move fast and innovate versus the very real need to protect the consumer. Now, we're not here to pick a side on this today, but we absolutely have to understand that this deregulation wave is here, and the blowback is intense.
And we aren't just talking about hypotheticals here. Companies like OptFi and Invova are already perfectly positioned to take advantage of these looser conditions. Actually, their bank charter applications are sitting on desks right this second, pending approval. The starting gun for this whole new regulatory landscape, it has officially been fired.
Moving to Section 2, Intuit, the legacy giant pivot.
So how are the old school legacy giants reacting to this? Just look at Intuit, the folks behind TurboTax, QuickBooks, and Credit Karma. Their current situation brilliantly captures the modern tech paradox. They just posted these unbelievable Q3 earnings, raking in a record $8.56 billion in revenue. That's up 10% year over year, completely beating Wall Street's expectations. On paper, it's a total victory. But at the exact same time, they launched a massive Q4 restructuring plan. They are cutting 17% of their workforce and taking a $300 to $340 million charge.
3,000. Let that sink in for a second. That is how many full-time roles are being completely eliminated at a company that is simultaneously posting record-breaking revenue. It's a brutal reality check about where the tech and finance sectors are heading. Now, how exactly do you justify that to the public? Well, Intuit's CEO, Sasan Goodarzi, framed it as making the company faster, leaner, and more focused. The translation there is pretty crystal clear. AI is doing more, so human beings are doing less. They are essentially gutting the org chart to feed the algorithm. But here is the wild part. The market did not buy the spin. Even with that massive earnings beat, Wall Street still punished the stock, dropping it 10% in after-hours trading. Intuit proved that AI can grow the top line while shrinking the headcount for sure, but investors still got seriously spooked by the execution. Which brings us to Section 3, Mercury, the startup graduation. All right, let's contrast Intuit's massive downsizing with the exact opposite scenario. While the legacy guys are shrinking, the startup banking platform Mercury is absolutely exploding. Just 14 months ago, Mercury was sitting at a $3.5 billion valuation. Today, they just closed a $200 million Series D round, skyrocketing their valuation to $5.2 billion. That is a 49% jump in just over a year. No way, right? And honestly, the numbers backing this up are rock solid. Mercury hit $650 million in annualized revenue. But more importantly, they boast 4 consecutive years of GAAP profitability. They aren't just burning through venture capital like a stereotypical startup. They are genuinely printing profit. On top of that, they saw a 2.5 times surge in new account applications when you compare Q1 2026 to Q1 2025. They now bank over 300,000 business clients. They are quite literally riding the wave of new AI-driven startups, acting as the bank for the very companies pushing this tech revolution forward. But hold on, because here is the real news buried in that funding announcement. They got a conditional OCC charter. That means Mercury received preliminary approval to become a federally chartered bank. In the fintech world, this is basically Willy Wonka's golden ticket. Right now, Mercury still has to rely on sponsor banks like Column and Choice Financial just to operate. But by 2027, with a full charter in hand, they'll be able to lend directly and access major networks completely on their own. As Mercury's CEO, Imad Akhund, put it, at the scale Mercury is at, it just makes sense to be directly regulated. And boom, that ties right back to our very first segment. That new White House executive order is greasing the wheels for exactly this kind of path. The macro policy shift aligns flawlessly with Mercury, graduating from a cool tech platform into a heavyweight, fully regulated financial institution.
Section 4. SoFi, the Quiet Infrastructure Empire. To see how all of this connects behind the scenes, we have to talk about SoFi. They made a really quiet but highly strategic acquisition this week. They bought an Oakland-based startup called Peach Finance, which naturally begs the question, what on earth does Peach actually do, and why did SoFi want them so badly? Well, think of Peach Finance as the guys who build the railroad tracks that everyone else rides on. They're a cloud-native, API-based loan management system. Put simply, they make it so other fintechs and banks can launch and scale their own lending programs without having to build all that insanely complicated tech infrastructure themselves. And here's the thing. This acquisition was not a one-off. SoFi has been on an absolute infrastructure shopping spree. They are systematically stacking up every single tech layer you need to run modern finance. They bought Galileo for payments, Technisys for core banking, Primary Bid for capital markets, and now Peach for loan management. And it is absolutely working out for them. This aggressive platform push supported their phenomenal Q1 metrics, bringing in $1.1 billion in revenue and 135% growth in net income. So the crucial takeaway here is this crazy split identity SoFi has going on. To you and me, to the general public, SoFi is a consumer neobank. You see their ads on TV, you might even have their app on your phone. But CEO Anthony Noto's actual quiet strategy, it's to build out the capital-light infrastructure that powers everybody else's lending business. He is essentially trying to build the AWS, the Amazon Web Services, of the entire financial sector, bringing it all together in Section 5. The new fintech playbook. So when we zoom out, what do these micro case studies and that massive macro policy shift tell us about where we're going? The emerging playbook is right in front of us, and the steps are incredibly clear. Step 1, deregulate the landscape. The White House is actively making it easier for tech companies to play in the big banking sandbox. Step 2, replace headcount with AI. Just like Intuit showed us, companies are leaning on algorithms to boost their revenue while drastically cutting human jobs. Step 3, graduate startups into chartered banks. Powerhouses like Mercury are done relying on middlemen. They are getting those golden tickets to become actual banks. And step 4, own the back-end infrastructure. Companies like SoFi realize that the real long-term dominance lies in owning the digital plumbing that the rest of the industry desperately needs to survive. This is the exact formula rewriting how money moves today. Which leaves us with one final, incredibly vital question. With AI literally replacing human jobs, legacy tech companies scrambling to pivot, and agile startups graduating into fully chartered banks, who are you going to trust with your money tomorrow? The B2B shifts we've explored today aren't just inside baseball for Wall Street. They are directly shaping your personal financial future. Take some time to really think about that, and keep a close eye on how these platforms evolve. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. And as always, keep learning.